On the morning of June 13th, 1944, a week after D-Day, a single German tank rolled out of a hedgerow near a small Norman town called Villers-Bocage and tore a British armored column apart. In under 15 minutes, more than a dozen tanks, transport vehicles, and anti-tank guns were burning wrecks along the road. The commander's name was Michael Wittmann, and for 80 years he's been held up as living proof that German soldiers were just better than everyone else's. There's a problem with that story, though. Wittmann didn't do it entirely alone. Several other tanks from his company were in that fight too. And within hours, Nazi propaganda officers had already gotten their hands on it. Doctored photographs, an inflated body count read out on national radio. A British historian who went back through the unit records in 2013 concluded that crediting one man with the whole ambush amounts to historians still uncritically recycling wartime Nazi propaganda 80 years later. That's this entire topic in miniature. Every time someone tries to answer, who had the best kill ratio in World War II? They're wading through decades of propaganda, sloppy record-keeping, and national pride. So let's actually try to do it properly. Historians call this a casualty exchange ratio. For every soldier a force lost, how many of the enemy did it take down with it? That's not the same thing as winning. Germany lost the war. The Soviet Union and the United States both lost far more soldiers overall than Germany did. But who won the war and who was more lethal man for man when the shooting actually started are two completely different questions. And the second one has a genuinely surprising answer. In the late 1970s, a military analyst named Trevor Dupuy did something nobody had really done before. He built a mathematical model and ran it against thousands of individual WWII engagements, stripping out terrain, surprise, air cover, and troop numbers to try to isolate pure soldier-for-soldier performance. His conclusion, which he defended for the rest of his career, was blunt. Man for man, German ground troops inflicted casualties at roughly 50% higher rate than the British and American troops fighting them. And it held up whether the Germans were attacking or defending, winning or losing, outnumbered or not. Dupuy argued the gap was even wider on the Eastern Front against the Soviets, though, as we'll get to, Soviet record-keeping is its own minefield. When a British journalist wrote this up for the Washington Post in 1985 under the headline, "Their Wehrmacht was better than our army," it caused an actual uproar inside the US Army's own staff college. Officers spent years trying to pick the study apart. Here's the twist, though. Decades later, when other researchers went back with cleaner German unit records specifically to recheck the numbers from Normandy, they didn't debunk Dupuy. They landed on almost the same gap. If anything, slightly larger. Most historians point to the same handful of explanations. A brutally selective NCO training pipeline, a doctrine called off-track stocktick that trained junior officers to improvise instead of waiting on orders from above, and a habit of feeding green replacements into veteran units instead of shipping whole inexperienced divisions to the front. If you want the most extreme version of that German effectiveness, you don't look at the army as a whole. You look at a handful of Waffen-SS panzer divisions, 1st SS Leibstandarte, 2nd SS Das Reich, 3rd SS Totenkopf. For a stretch of the war, divisions like these got first pick of new Tiger and Panther tanks, and some of the most ideologically committed volunteers in the country. That part checks out, at least for these specific units, though historians have pushed back on the idea that it was true SS-wide. Plenty of later war Waffen-SS formations, especially ones padded out with conscripted foreign recruits, were nothing special at all. It's worth stopping here, because none of this is a celebration. The Waffen-SS was the armed wing of the same organization that ran the Holocaust, and its most elite divisions have rap sheets to match their kill counts. Soldiers from 1st SS Leibstandarte murdered American prisoners of war at Malmedy during the Battle of the Bulge. Soldiers from 2nd SS Das Reich massacred over 600 French civilians at Oradour-sur-Glane just days after D-Day. Whatever the tactical numbers say, they sit right next to a body count of a completely different, much darker kind. Now jump theaters entirely, because the single most lopsided kill ratio story of the whole war might belong to the US Marine Corps, and it comes from a battle that, on paper, looks like a disaster. At Iwo Jima in early 1945, roughly 70,000 Marines stormed a volcanic island defended by around 21,000 Japanese troops dug into 11 miles of tunnels. By the time it was declared secure 5 weeks later, almost the entire Japanese garrison was dead. Only a couple hundred men surrendered. American dead numbered around 6,800. Do the math on deaths alone, and that's nearly 3 Japanese soldiers killed for every American lost. An absurdly favorable ratio for troops attacking a fortified island, which almost never happens. Attackers usually take the worse end of that trade. But here's the twist that rarely makes the highlight reel. Count everyone killed or wounded, not just killed. And American casualties at Iwo Jima actually edged past Japanese casualties. The only Pacific Island battle where that happened. Same battle, 2 completely different winners, depending entirely on which number you lead with. But if you want the single most lopsided ratio sustained by any nation for an entire war, Finland wins. In the winter of 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland expecting a quick win. Instead, a Finnish army that never topped a few 100,000 men, fighting on skis with homemade anti-tank weapons, held off a Red Army of well over 1 million for 3.5 months. Finland's total deaths for the war came to under 26,000. Soviet dead are estimated anywhere from roughly 127,000, in the figure most often cited from Russian military archives, up past 270,000 in some other Russian historical research. A ratio that's somewhere around 5-1 on the conservative end, and well over 10-1 on the high end. In one single engagement, the Battle of Suomussalmi, Finnish forces reportedly inflicted something like 10,000 Soviet casualties for under 1,000 of their own. So why doesn't everyone just agree the answer is Finland, obviously? Because every number in this video comes with an asterisk attached. German wartime casualty records get less and less reliable the longer the war drags on, because by 1944, the military bureaucracy keeping those records was collapsing along with everything else. And more recent research into German military deaths suggests the real toll was meaningfully higher than what the Army's own wartime paperwork shows. Soviet figures went through decades of Cold War spin pulling in both directions, with some Western writers inflating them and Soviet officials burying them. And there's a structural problem running through every example here. It's mathematically easier to post a great ratio defending fixed positions on your own ground against an enemy who has to walk into your guns than it is attacking someone else's. Germany spent most of the war on the defensive. Finland was entirely on the defensive. The Marines at Iwo Jima are the rare exception precisely because they were attacking and still came out ahead. So, who wins? If you want the most consistently documented case across an entire army, over years of fighting, multiple independent researchers keep landing on Germany. If you want the single most extreme number put up by an elite formation, the Waffen-SS's panzer divisions have the reputation, the equipment, and the moral baggage to match it. And if you want the most lopsided ratio sustained by any nation for a full war, that one, oddly enough, belongs to a country of under 4 million people that most documentaries barely mention. Maybe the real lesson isn't which flag had the best number. It's how easily a number like this turns into a myth, by a propaganda office in 1944 or by a YouTube video in 2026. So next time you see a kill ratio thrown around as settled fact, ask 3 questions. What's actually being counted, who counted it, and who had a reason to lie about it? If you want the deep dive on any one of these, the Wehrmacht's doctrine, the Waffen-SS's war crimes, or how Finland pulled off the most lopsided defensive war of the modern era, tell me which one in the comments.